As our city manager said, I was instructed by Chief Benton to create a program which would allow us to train the entire city workforce who has to work outside during the day on crime awareness techniques and basically how to be a good witness. That's kind of the nuts and bolts of this whole program. We kind of cut it up into two different sections. One is actual crimes in progress, how to document if they were to witness a robbery in progress or a burglary in progress. And the other part is things that are suspicious, but not necessarily against the law. Could be an individual sitting in a parked car in a residential area during the day, just things that are out of place and kind of suspicious in nature. I think it's a great idea, primarily because obviously the police can't be everywhere all the time. But if you take into account the entire city workforce, which on any given day has dozens of crews out working, environmental crews, street crews, utility crews, it really increases our opportunity to have all those extra set of eyes out there. I know when I was in Vice Intelligence several years ago, we would make undercover drug buys, and every now and then the undercover officer would pull up and he'd start buying crack from somebody on a corner, and a half a block up would be a utility truck or a garbage truck or, you know, another city crew, a meter reader. And so it's just a good opportunity to take those guys, they're already out there, and let them be our extra set of eyes for us. One thing I want to stress during this training, and it's built in, is we want them to help us. We don't want them to try to intervene or to try to take our job and do our job for us. We want to stress safety, not only their safety against the crime in progress. We would never want them to get involved in a robbery or a burglary or try to apprehend anyone. But we also want them to remember that their primary duty, whatever they're doing, if they're operating a backhoe or a mowing beside the road, we want them to focus on that and safety and the things that they need to do in order to stay safe. Basically help us when they can in the performance of their normal duty.
Well, I don't know who came up with that, but I think that's a super idea.
I agree. I wish I could take credit.
It's a training program, Sergeant Ott?
It is. And what I've done is I've started contacting other departments. And naturally it won't involve every department. There's not really any need to train an admin secretary and a civic center on it. But I've contacted the other departments so that we can go to them in the morning, maybe before their crews get out. And this is our PowerPoint. It's real quick and straight to the point. So 20, 30 minutes and some dialogue. If they have any questions, I think we can get the training to the entire workforce.
Let me ask a question, if I may. The information that is gathered by the crew, when will it be reported to channels and in what manner, so that they'll know exactly where to go when they come?
It depends. If it's a crime in progress, naturally they would call dispatch through the city radio or cell phone, and patrol units upon their arrival would interview the employee, and they would give the information then. I'm in the process of creating a form now before we give the training so that they can keep the forms in their truck. And it'll basically be just a very generic form that will answer who, what, when, where, and how, so that they could fill that out. And even if it's just a suspicious vehicle or a suspicious person walking in a neighborhood, oftentimes those tips like that, even though it's not illegal or against the law to sit in a parked car, if we have that information, if we've had a string of residential burglaries in the area, oftentimes if we run that car and the guy comes back, we'll either know him or through whatever avenue of investigation, we could resolve cases that have been committed in the past. Because oftentimes these guys, especially the burglars and stuff like that, they don't just break into one and retire. They usually break into house after house after house until they get caught. And usually it's a neighbor or it's a mailman or somebody who sees something suspicious that if we catch them in progress, that's usually how it begins.
So the paperwork will flow from the individual to the supervisor?
To the supervisor and then to the police department.
Okay.
And I'll arrange for that to be picked up so that they don't have to take time out of their day to bring the paperwork to us.
Good job.
Thank you, Sergeant. Appreciate it.
I have a comment, Mayor. City Manager, is there any way we can implement an aspect of this program in Dothan 101?
Yes, we could. I mean, we do Dothan 101. Part of that police department training could be, taking 15 minutes or so to explain this to the
reason why I say that, I cannot tell you how many times we all get a complaint, and the individual who makes a complaint cannot tell you, and I know I'm telling the police something they already know in the fire department, and I mean, what did the individual look like? What kind of car were they driving? Or even what was the address of the residence? So just things of that nature.
Well, I wish I could take credit for this too, but I read about it. One of the power companies in Florida was actually being trained by their police department because they were out. And so Greg and I sat down and talked about it. He thought it was a good idea, and Sergeant Ott ended up with a task, but he knew that on any given day we have 300 or 400 people out in the field.
Sure. I'm just glad the admin secretaries aren't being trained to watch for odd behavior in the commission chambers. We're talking about basically tips. We're not talking about asking them to go down to the magistrate and swear out a complaint. In most cases, you're talking about wanting them, if they see something, radio it in, call it in.
Right.
Just giving a tip.
And as I said, it could be a crime in progress. They could witness a burglary in progress or a robbery in progress. They could see someone fleeing from the scene of a crime. Other than that, it could be just suspicious behavior. And if it's suspicious behavior, they could complete the form and forward it to us. I spent 2 years in criminal investigations, and I can tell you we solved an awful lot of cases by somebody calling in and saying, I live in Chapel Wood, and when I was going to lunch today, I came home for lunch, and there was a car parked on the street, and a guy smoking a cigarette with the window rolled down. You know, and we would go over there and we'd catch him. And a lot of times it's things that people see every day that they think that doesn't seem right, but it never clicks. And I guess being a police officer, it does with us. You know, it's something that we would go and check out further. But with them, the average citizen, and it just doesn't really click. It's being completely out of place.
Have you started this training yet?
Not yet.
When are you planning to start?
I plan as soon as the other departments can get their schedules and let me know when they want, when they're.
I imagine one of the questions you'll get is if they can do so and remain anonymous. Even though they're city employees and they don't want to do the right thing, I think that is a concern that we could see. Somebody doesn't want to be seen as the person who made the report, you know, tattletale, whatever. So I anticipate you'll get that question.
Right.
There's a way they can make their tip anonymously. Thank you.
I would like to see a lot of emphasis put on what Commissioner Siegel just mentioned. You'll get more support if people would know that their name is not going to be used. And that I would like to see more in your brochure.
I agree, and I apologize for it being stapled on the wrong end. I had to use a copier of Leisure Services. I agree with you, Commissioner.
Gotta be careful talking about those admin secretaries, see, they can fix this.
I never would have got it started, but she did, so she did a good job. But I agree with you, and part of the thing I want to stress to these guys when we do this training is this is not just to help us. I mean, these guys working at the street crew and the environmental crew, they live and work in Dothan too. And we're all in this together, every last one of us. And it's not a Dothan Police Department problem, it's a City of Dothan problem. And they live and work here, and I don't imagine they want to be down there running power lines and a drive-by shooting break out, you know. So I would like for them to take responsibility and pride in their city and just say, you know, this is a great idea and this is one way that we can join the fight. So, but I agree, an anonymous system, I'm not opposed to that. I'd rather get the information or not know where it came from than not have it at all.
You've made a huge step today. Not only is that burglar looking for, in the past, the homeowner and the policeman, now they're looking for the man that's picking up the garbage, the guy riding an electrical truck, and all those. This just throws another factor into the equation. So you've already, that's a big step today by letting folks know we're getting these people involved.
I agree.
Good job. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.